idea where administration goes with it. I can tell you that some of the input I've had on designing the pool and what I know it takes to have a nice competition pool. I've built 2 of them.
What you built 2 pools?
Yes, over at Seaholm High School and Girls High School.
Okay, well, I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it frustrates me when my coaches haven't talked to you. All right, you know, you talk about shareholder input. I mean, I know what I would love. I mean, a zero entry pool is nothing for our school system.
It does, because we have to be ADA compliant.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting way to, I mean, I hate to say it's an interesting way to go about it, but if you look at the needs for, all right, ADA compliance for varsity swim team, that's probably a misnomer, right?
ADA doesn't pick an age. It has to be compliance there.
But it's, if you look at how the water is going to be used, and if this is an end run, if we're going to build a special pool to be ADA compliant, I mean, well, let's call it that. So, but if this pool is for community, let's call it that. How much of this pool is going to be owned by the community? I mean, can I not put up my seniors poster because this is a community pool?
Sure. As far as stakeholder input, I don't think we're there yet. We've talked to the ADs, we've talked to a few people. This is just concept. I think Julie mentioned earlier, as we get into it, you know, we have to really get into the nitty gritty, you know. So we're just not there with that fine detail.
Can you clarify something for me? So it's going to be a brand new building adjacent to the current one, or we don't even know where the new aquatic center is going?
Our preliminary look would be, it would be on the same campus. Right now, we're thinking it might be back towards the back side of the Fine Arts Center,
so
based on the site. There's enough property to do that.
And then the community/aquatic center is currently a Forest Hills entity for our schools in community use. It's open to any taxpayer in the district, right?
Correct.
And what part of the district that isn't affiliated with the schools, what money comes in to that community piece? Just out of curiosity, is there any, or is that all of our Forest Hills operating budget? I guess I'm
ask that question again so I can make sure I'm understanding.
I'm not sure about the name. It's community and an aquatic center.
So it's a community aquatic center that's owned by, it was built and it's owned by Forest Hills Public Schools.
Okay.
And I wasn't here when it was from 1990s, but I believe it, I think, Scott, you were around, I think, then maybe?
I swam in it when it was new.
But it was like, wow. But it was built to do 2 things, right? To serve our community for community enrichment activities, as well as to provide a space for to have an aquatic program for our athletes.
But Forest Hills Public Schools pays for it 100%?
Correct. Correct.
So how are we going to use the new pool? The pool that we currently have, what are we going to do with that?
That's where we would fill in, we're proposing we would fill in that pool and then repurpose that area. And so then that repurposing the area is to create a space that's really multi-function. But what that is exactly, we don't know. That's where we would, when we start to do that detailed design work, we would solicit stakeholder feedback. So those who are participating in the community enrichment programming, you know, what would they like to see there? We would talk with the staff who are.
Is it going to be a community center, or is it going to be a school center since it's funded by the schools?
It would be more of a community center. Part of what's used to help that building continue operating is the recreation millage that the community pays. So if you look at your tax bill, you have a recreation millage that you're paying. That goes to help support that building.
So it
along with
wouldn't
the
be
Fine Arts Center.
Forest Hills paying to run a center that was not for the schools.
Say that again?
It wouldn't be the Forest Hill operating budget for the schools?
Correct. It is not the operating millage that's pays for the day-to-day in the community aquatic center, that we use our recreation millage to cover that cost.
I think the confusion that she's bringing up is, right now that pool is supported with money from the recreational millage as well, correct?
Correct.
And it's also supported with some money from the senior services as well, correct?
The rec millage helps support the senior programming, adult programming, and youth programming.
But we also get money from the county senior programming millage as well.
No, we don't.
No,
That does not come to Forest Hills.
Just the recreational.
Just the recreation millage.
So since pool space is a problem, but we want a better pool that we can do all these things for our schools with, has there been talk about keeping the community center, aquatic center, and giving it to the township if they'll take it, and then it becomes truly the township community? I mean, that might be something to consider, because I get the point that we don't have enough pool space, and it would be somewhat nice to separate out. Don't get rid of it, per se. If we can look at it, gifting it, or whatever we'd have to do to get the township to take it for the community, still have it, maybe rent it to the high schools or something, but then have something for the schools.
Yeah, we'd have to, if we would have to lease it or sell it to the township at fair market value. We're required to do that by law. So we couldn't say, hey, I'm making this number up and it's gonna be totally absurd, right? For $100,000, you can get this, big building here with a pool, complete with a pool, and you can, operate it, for the community, and then we wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to have fair market value if we were to sell it.
What would that be? Well, I mean,
I have no idea.
You're a
We
pool
have
guy,
somebody
how
come
much
in
a
and,
building like
I have no
that
idea what
is?
that building is for.
I don't know, we have to have somebody come in and appraise it.
When you said earlier, at the beginning, to start the slideshow, I don't know if you
That'd be,
take this like a slide, you said there was stakeholder,
I think that's Cascade. No, it's not
research.
Cascade.
But
Oh, it's right, cause it's north of Ada Road.
So I
And
said
then
they've
is
done
that-
some stakeholder input,
Could be
and then I
Ada.
believe I also said, but
You
we're
need
not
to do
done
that.
with,
Yep,
I said
yep.
we're not done with that,
Yep.
right? That
Yep.
we,
So it wouldn't be convenient for
it
Ada
takes about
because it's
12 to
down the other
18
way.
months to do the detailed design work, right?
Sure.
And so if you look back and to do that detailed design work, that's where we really start getting even more of that stakeholder input.
No, I get that, and I think that this is important to dialogue. My feeling, we've been in the district for a while, we're not lifelong, and full disclosure, we don't have kids in the district, they were homeschooled. However, my husband and I were both public school educated in some of the top schools in the country. My husband's father was an award-winning high school teacher, public school. Happy to name names, whatever you want. So we value education. My husband's actually a professor, and we've both taught like our whole adult lives, basically. But I feel a little bit, watching all this, this is a lot of money. It's a lot of money for this current environment. And I'm not feeling like, oh, we shouldn't necessarily spend this, but to say, understand you've done some research, but to hear questions here where people are saying, well, what are we gonna do with that? You've got 8.1 million proposed for, we have no idea, is a little bit tough to swallow for me personally. And I think this community school district division of, well, we're gonna do this for the community, but we're paying for it, is a little bit confusing. And I didn't know anything about what this gentleman said about not being able to honor the students. That seems very unusual to me. We just got that full color flyer thing that looked like a mini yearbook to me. I don't know what that cost, but it was really nice. I was like, this was a lot of money to honor students, but yet because this has community name on it, we can't honor them in the building. There's seems to be a lot of disconnect, and I'm pretty hesitant as a homeowner to want to front this amount of money with this short a period of time to evaluate it. And I also wonder, why a special election for this? Why not take some more time, let the community discuss this more, have some more meetings. These are a decent amount of people, but this isn't a lot of people for how many people are in Forest Hills. To really flesh this out, to get these questions answered, to think about it, and say, what do we want? Inflation's bad, and we aren't at poverty level. My family's not at poverty level, but there's people who are hurting, losing jobs, seniors. This is gonna be uncomfortable, and even the no tax increase thing, my understanding is there can be quite a bit of increase based on property tax value changing. I don't know a lot about millages, but doesn't the school district have the right to change this, and that if we do end up paying more taxes? I've heard there's flexibility in this. Again, I am not a tax expert. I'm just hearing things and going, how do I dissect all this information? It's a lot. It's a lot in a very short period of time to evaluate when there's people saying, no more money, and people saying, spend whatever we need in order to make the students better and the school district better, and we're trying to sort out the details, and it's a very short period of
It's
time.
21 years.
Sure.
It's a lot of money, it's
Lot
a
of
lot of
years.
time. Our country is very unstable, financially and many other ways.
Julie, maybe you could tell us about your thinking, not just yours personally, but I'm sure you've been in all the meetings, the group the Royal, you are thinking of why we are asking for such a large bond issuance. Instead of doing, 5 years ago, we asked for 130. Why ask for 3 times that no exaggeration, why are we asking for so much more than that?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, like we've done in the past, 40 million, 80 million, come back to us in 5 years, see how we're doing. Especially, you know, look at something this large, and again, it's part two of a question. You're asking to borrow $340 million. You project your costs and whatnot, while at the same time, just yesterday, the 10-year treasury rate hit a 15-year high. The cost of borrowing money in the last 3 years has just gone through the roof, and inflation has gone through the roof, more than treble what it's been for the previous 10 to 15 years. So as you project these costs, I mean, first of all, over a 20-year period, I don't know if you can even project these costs with inflation being what it's been.
So the 20-year
And the cost of
period
borrowing money
is
not being
for
what
the
it's been.
bond itself, right? So when you think you take out a loan or a mortgage for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that 21 years is in the ballot language. The projects would be over the course of 8 years. And so when our construction managers build out the estimate for all the projects that we're proposing, they build in cost escalation factors, saying, because what we did is we said, okay, Fine Arts Center, $11.4 million. Okay, so we expect that project would start, I'm gonna make this date up, it might not be what it is, so nobody hold me to this date. But we expect that project would start in the year 2028, right? And so based on what we're proposing in that, then in 2028, this is what we expect it would cost with a price escalation every year from 2023 to 2028. And so then that's what was used to develop the $11.4